Welcome to An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. I am so happy to see all of you heading into this brand new year. And we're kicking off An Hour to Give, of course, the show that really talks about philanthropy, community, and volunteerism. We're kicking it off with a bit of a twist, and I'm so excited to welcome representatives today from the Canadian Internet Registration Authority, also known as CIRA, and we're going to introduce our very first guest today, and that's Spencer Callahan. Hi, Spencer. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me, Sam.
I'm so excited that you're here. We've got so much good to talk about today. But first of all, give me a sense of what your role is at CIRA.
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Brand and Communications at CIRA, CIRA's a really remarkable place. I mean, we're this really great combination of a technology company and a company that gives back and for good. We're actually a national not-for-profit, and so because of that, we really are able to do a lot of good, not only in our community here in Ottawa, but across the country. It's a really great place to work.
And there are so many guests here today. And Spencer, you brought one of your friends and colleagues, of course. Maureen James is here. Maureen, what's your role?
I am Senior Manager of Net Good, which is our community investment program.
Right, and we're going to be talking all about it today. You sort of touched on a little bit about the company. Take me a bit deeper, share a little bit more about CIRA.
Yeah, so CIRA is the national not-for-profit that runs the .ca domain name. So any website that you've ever seen that ends in .ca, we actually run the infrastructure that makes that happen. So all the magic happens behind the scenes there. And so we've actually been running since 2000. So we've been around for a while as a technology company. But because we're a nonprofit, we give back to our community. So essentially what we do is the proceeds from the sales of .ca domains, a portion of that goes back into our community, both in Ottawa and across the country, for good things that help support what we call a trusted internet for Canadians. And so the Net Good program is part of that. But we do a lot of things that help basically promote the internet across Canada and around the world.
It's fantastic. And there is some magic happening at Net Good as well. Maureen, take us there.
Sure. Well, Net Good is how CIRA gives back to Canada's internet. We are able to take some proportion of the revenue that we generate and use that for giving back to the different types of digital challenges that people face every single day in Canada. You think internet is ubiquitous and that everybody has access, but they don't. And people forget that, especially here in a place like Ottawa, where it seems like everybody has access. So we are able to invest millions of dollars each year into projects that are focused around connectivity, online safety, and policy. And that allows us to support community-led initiatives across the city, across the country, that help people connect safely and address cybersecurity challenges and actually have a voice in how the internet works.
Because I think so many of us, Maureen, are so attached to our phones, to our devices, when we want to make a doctor's appointment, when we want to make, all of these different, either a reservation somewhere, anything like that, we just head to our phones and we forget that equity isn't there for everyone.
Absolutely. Even just coming here today, we're like, what's the route to get there the fastest way, right? You use it for everything, mapping your OC Transpo visit, doing homework with your kids, staying in touch with your family, watching a movie. Imagine not being able to do that. And there are hundreds of thousands of households across the country that can't. And that's one of the things that is really important to us, is making sure that everybody has access to internet that's high speed, reliable, safe. So these are the kinds of projects that we fund, and that is really what motivated us to come and talk to you today. We have a granting program, and our granting program opens in February 2nd, and it enables communities to put together projects that solve these problems on their own terms. So they define a project, whether it's to figure out how do we get access into our community. It isn't fully here. They present us a plan, and we are able to consider whether we can fund that based on what they show us. So we do that in the areas of connectivity, online safety, and policy across the country. Every year the call opens in February, closes in March this year, March 18th. And we funded already over 245 projects to date across the country in communities everywhere, far-flung. You'll be hearing from some of the people that have benefited from the program later in the show.
I can't wait. And I think you're opening up a lot of people to realize that this is an issue in this country. I think a lot of us are sort of maybe under the auspices that this type of thing is happening somewhere else in the world, and the reality is it's happening not only in this city but across the country. This hand-in-glove relationship between CIRA and Net Good, does this make the job just a bit more sweeter, Spencer?
Oh, it's definitely a very rewarding place to work. I mean, knowing that the work that we do to help get .ca domains into the hands of Canadians. We also have a series of cybersecurity products that we use to support institutions across the country, whether they be universities, schools, hospitals, governments, that kind of thing. The work we do with our registry program, the work we do with our policy program. It's just good to know that everything that we do funnels back to Net Good, and that helps us do good things for the internet. And I mean, as you mentioned, as Maureen so eloquently put it, like, a lot of us take for granted the fact that the internet is ubiquitous, the internet is available, but it's not for everyone. And in fact, even for people for whom it is available, it may not be reliable, right? And so that is a whole other lens by which you need to view technology, because I think a lot of us who are fortunate enough to not have to worry about that, we just rely on the fact that you can get your banking statements online, that you can book a doctor's appointment online. Many government services are exclusively online now. And so it actually creates a barrier. And so knowing that the work we do every day, whether it's on things that are unrelated, that filters back to the Net Good program so that we can then do good stuff. I mean, it's a no-brainer to feel like that just makes you motivated to work every day and to do good stuff. Yeah.
And two examples that Spencer just mentioned weren't on my radar. Government, trying to do anything with government, and banking, right? So that's really important.
And I think one of the things that really surprises people is they think this is a problem that's in rural areas, remote areas, the north. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. But in urban centers, largely because of the cost of internet, there are whole populations that don't have access to it. And so that's another area that we're trying to bridge that digital divide, make services available through the projects that we fund.
I just put my mom hat on for a second, because I'm picturing my daughter, who just graduated from high school and is now in college, trying to navigate her schooling without the internet. So this is affecting kids, right, Maureen?
Oh, for sure. And as a parent myself, even trying to do things like choose a university, go through all the applications, my goodness, and watch the webinars about where are you going to go. I think the other thing that's happening, though, and that's something else that we're conscious of in our online safety, is that a lot of children have access to the internet, but not necessarily in a safe way. And we think of them as the experts, as the elders. We think, oh, they know how to do everything. They show us how to do everything. But what we're finding is that there are so many smaller communities, for example, where people go home to, like Renfrew, for example, where you go home you leave the school and you're on a bus and you go home and you're not connected to your friends anymore. People are on their phones and running into trouble. There's all sorts of trouble on the internet, and we think because young people are digital natives, they know how to navigate all of this, but there's so much sort of safety training, awareness, knowing what the risks are, that are a lot of the community groups that we work with are helping kids navigate that kind of stuff. And by working with the kids, they share it with the parents, they share it in the community. So it's really a really interesting way to see how a simple project in one community can spread within the community, but also across the country.
And spread like the internet, right? In terms of that message, that safety piece must be very important to CIRA.
Oh, incredibly important. I mean, you'll hear later on in the show about one of our feature Net Good products, which is CIRA Canadian Shield, which is a free service that we provide to all Canadians. Go download it right now. That helps protect your devices and your networks at home from malware, phishing, and things like that. And so, but those types of things some of those tools are the types of tools that would really not be on the radar for a lot of people, or if they were, might be too expensive or out of reach because of different fiscal and financial capabilities, things like that. So the ability for us to be able to provide a service like that to all Canadians is just another way in which we're saying, like, we fundamentally believe that the internet is a net good for Canada, hence where the name came from. But at the end of the day, there are some negatives, and we're doing our best to try to balance and tip the scales in the favor of the good, right? And so we do that through things like security, through things like awareness and training and education, right? I have 2 daughters, they're both in high school, and they pick their courses exclusively online now. And so can you just imagine if you didn't have the internet at home, having to navigate that process, right? And so there's just so many ways in which the internet provides positive impacts on society, but we're doing our best to try to uplift the positives and do our best that we can to sort of, mitigate some of the negative aspects, whether it be cybercrime or phishing or harassment and things like that. And that's where a lot of the great programs that Maureen's Net Good program funds, a lot of those are tackling those various issues. But the key there is that we're going to the people who are the experts on those issues, as Maureen mentioned, for them to figure out how best. So they bring us the ideas and we give them the money.
I love it.
Yeah.
And they love it too, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
The granting application process you mentioned, February 2nd.
February 2nd it opens.
Until
March 18th it closes 2 p.m. Eastern, which is relevant nationally because people sometimes miss.
Right.
All of the details about that are on our website, CIRA.ca/grants. There's information on how to apply. We run a webinar so applicants can learn how to put together the best possible application. It's tricky for us because we receive so many incredible projects, and we fund $1.25 million a year, which can go far. People can ask for up to $100,000 per project, and the funding is open to nonprofits, charities, Indigenous communities, and academic institutions, so universities or colleges.
Brilliant.
So those are the people that are eligible, and then we fund in those areas that I've mentioned: infrastructure, which is basically access, online safety, and policy engagement. Policy engagement is one of the least applied to, but it's really important, and you're going to hear from one of our policy projects too that's youth-led, which is really impressive. It's shaping the internet that you want, and creating a way for people to be able to participate in those kinds of debates and discussions and decisions that governments and the people in charge of the internet are making. So all of these aspects feed into what we hope is a trusted internet and a better internet for Canada.
For sure, and we've got so many guests coming up to talk about these different perspectives. I'm really excited about that. We have about 30 seconds, and Maureen, I'll just ask you, is there anything that is a myth bust you can do for us today that would be something we could share today before we head to our next segment?
A myth bust. I think you don't have to be a tech organization to get involved in what CIRA does. Community-led is really what we're looking for, and community support. So I think that's really important for people to keep in mind.
Well, that's perfect. I love it. She did that very quickly.
Yeah,
I'm impressed, Spencer. Thank you both for sharing so much about CIRA and about Net Good. We're going to talk more about this today, but thank you to Spencer and to Maureen for joining us here on An Hour to Give. We are kicking off the year in style with CIRA. We've got lots of different perspectives of how to keep people safe on the internet, to have access, and I just know you're going to learn something today. We're so happy that you're here. Stay with us on An Hour to Give.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Kidney News and Events on Rogers TV, Channel 22. I'm Ramon DeFranco. The cold weather is here, so get your skates sharpened and take in some skating at 2 of Ottawa's favorite outdoor rinks. The Sense Rink of Dreams at City Hall is now open and operates through March, providing consistent ice quality regardless of weather. The Lansdowne Skating Court, located behind the Aberdeen Pavilion at Lansdowne Park, is also open. If you don't have any skates, then not to worry, rentals are available on site. And best of all, skating is free at both popular refrigerated outdoor rinks. Hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the Rink of Dreams and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the Lansdowne Skating Court. To have your community news or events listed on our website, please go to rogerstv.com, click on events, and post your event. That's it.
Join me, holistic chef Daniela Croco, for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, right here on Rogers TV.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Welcome back to An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. We're so happy you're joining us today. Today is all about CIRA and how they're helping in the community through Net Good. And I'm so excited to welcome our next guest today, of course, Steve Clay. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
And Steve, where are you coming from today?
I work with Ottawa Community Housing. We provide housing to approximately 33,000 people in the city of Ottawa, 15,000 units. So we're quite large. We're the 4th largest housing provider in Canada.
Wow, in Canada.
Yeah. It's quite
I had
something.
no idea that little tidbit right there. And Shelley Robinson joining us today. Shelley, what's your role?
I'm Executive Director of National Capital Freenet, so we're a not-for-profit internet service provider here in town. We've been around since 1992.
Wow, been a long time.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like the internet was around then. But
it kind of almost wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I was dialing up in my room, hearing that awful sound back in the day, but that's great. And what's the connection to Net Good and to CIRA, Steve?
A couple of years ago, actually just a year ago, we started the Communify project at 250 and 251 Donald. They're 2 buildings that we have in Vanier. I'll let Shelley describe the project a bit more, but it was an opportunity for us as a social housing provider to expand service, provide service in the community for something that many of us take as a given, internet access, right? So this was a really wonderful opportunity to work with great partners to bring a much needed service to the community.
Tell me about the project, Shelley, I'm anxious to know.
Sure, so it's kind of like radio, but with Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And so we have pulled some internet into a core piece of the equipment room in one of the buildings. We've run the cables to the top, and then we have towers on the roof that can beam Wi-Fi out to community organizations, and then we also provide free Wi-Fi in 251 and 255. So they're in the lounges, the laundry rooms, because when people are waiting for their laundry to get done, and then there's also a community garden space between, and so it's all connected there. And so in the first year since we officially launched the project, almost 4,000 devices, so we don't measure by people just for privacy reasons, but almost 4,000 devices connected. And so this is folks who maybe they have home internet in their apartments, but then they can be with their neighbors or with guests and visiting and like watching TV together, streaming in the lounges. We've had tax clinics, which we can talk about there, which are facilitated by this. I saw that voting was there, and so people, while they're voting, and so it's just a way for folks in the community who might struggle with either the high cost of home internet or the high cost of mobile data can then have this free and secure Wi-Fi right on their doorstep.
And when I'm hearing Shelley talk about this, all I hear is community, community, community.
That's what it's all about.
And you're building community through the internet. And I think a lot of people think the internet is something we're doing by ourselves, but you've just busted that myth. And I love the fact it's about community, Steve.
During the pandemic, we all became so much more aware of the need for stable, reliable internet access. We were doing all kinds of events using the internet. And so when we had this opportunity to really put in some infrastructure to make it accessible to our community members, we jumped at the opportunity. one of the things that Shelley mentioned, and I heard the previous guest mention also, was the assumption that everyone has internet access. We did some digging into our tenant population. 22% of the people who live in that community did not have access to internet in their homes.
And that was in the peak of the pandemic. So the time when it was most important for folks to have that connectivity if they wanted to apply for CIRB or like do any of those other things, and 22% didn't have access.
Incredible, isn't it?
5.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
And so projects like this are community-based. It brings a much-needed service to the community, and it connects people, from applying for CIRB, or just, you're talking with someone, you say, that's not true, or yes it is, and you have that friendly back and forth, right? You get on the phone, it's like, oh, neither of us are right, this is what it says. Well, it's an everyday use that we take for granted so much, but not everyone has that opportunity.
And Shelley, when you learned about CIRA and what they were doing through Net Good, was it sort of a moment where you thought, boy, we could actually have something wonderful happen here?
Yes, so we have worked with CIRA in the past. We actually worked with CIRA to do Digital Access Day, something we launched with some other partners in 2018. And to be able, and then we've actually also had an existing partnership with Ottawa Community Housing because we offer a lower cost program for their tenants for home internet. And so this combination of like what CIRA is doing as they, grow Net Good, and then what we've been able to grow with OCH, it's phenomenal. Honestly, it's phenomenal. It's really, it's so for us, like, we sell affordable home internet, and that's great, but there's nothing more affordable than free. And so this is free to use. Now, it's not free for us to offer, which is why we needed CIRA's support and the partnership of Ottawa Community Housing. We also have a partnership with eBoo Networks, so they're wholly owned by Hydro Ottawa. So it's really this partnership where not-for-profits, so CIRA on a national level and us locally, and then municipally owned organizations are like leveraging this to do something that's like really special and unique for the community. But we hope, frankly, that if we can make it work here, maybe other communities can make it work. So, maybe it doesn't have to just be unique to Ottawa.
Well, and to be honest with you, that was going to be my next question. Is this a pilot project?
Well, interesting. I think it's a model for others to look at. We would love to have this across our portfolio. Who wouldn't want free, right? And it's too good to be true, but it is true. So if we have that capacity, that ability, we certainly will look at expanding it. It's something that is just, well, I said it before, I'll say it again, it's too good to be true, but it is. So why wouldn't we?
And I love that you really emphasize the collaborative effort, Shelley. I mean, I think that is, and you named all the partners that come together to make that happen, CIRA being, of course, at the core of it with Net Good. But talk to me a little bit about how, how this is the framework for moving forward in many ways.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think our hope is that we've got this core base of really strong community partners. And as we want to expand this connectivity, then there are other organizations that we could work with that could offer this kind of connectivity. So if you think about like a community health center, so it could be great if a lot of not-for-profit organizations and community service organizations have Wi-Fi for their own purposes, but not for the folks who are using it because of security concerns. And so this is a way that, let's say I went and I was with my kid, and so my kid can stay and watch Netflix while I'm, and then isn't getting bored, while I'm filling out forms or applying for jobs or doing online training, any of those things. And so as we create, and it's inside and outside, so we're hoping to build this quilt of connectivity. And so that then means that we have to grow from our community base of partners now, but to other organizations, absolutely. And that can also be small businesses, and it can be bigger businesses, frankly.
And I think about two groups in particular. I think about youth and kids, and I think about seniors that, especially during the pandemic, so many of them weren't connected, and the only way was using FaceTime, but they didn't have a way to connect through FaceTime, and it was heartbreaking to sort of hear those stories.
It was.
So talk to me a little bit about the impact of your population, the people you serve, and really want to make sure have that connection.
Well, one of the most interesting things that we did during the pandemic, programming-wise, using the internet, is we did online concerts. So we would have people. We had a gentleman who would be sitting in front of his computer, his screen, microphone, and he would be singing. And we'd sign people up for these sort of things. It's a way of breaking isolation. Mm-hmm. The other project that we've worked on, and I think this one's really pertinent and applicable, is taxes. And you sort of go, okay, well, how does that work? Well, our tenants have to submit their T4s to, that's how their rent is calculated. So if you haven't filed your taxes, your rent increases to full market. So the average income for someone in those buildings is under $1,200 a month. So if they go to full market rent, which is $1,000, they can't afford that. You know, percentage-wise, no one can afford that sort of percentage. So having programs like tax clinics online, where we have partner agencies come in, work with our tenants, work with our staff, work with community health and resource centers to do these sort of things, allows people to maintain that housing, right? And and so often, I remember one case in particular where someone got a massive rebate that they weren't even aware of. Right, so the hidden
it can be
gems,
life-changing for sure.
Absolutely,
yeah.
it was truly. There were so many moments during the tax clinic programs where we said, "That's why we're doing this."
Mm-hmm. And normally we don't like talking about taxes. Today is a great day to actually talk about the positivity behind that through this. Shelley, what would you say to our friends at Net Good and CIRA for being the core of such good in the community?
I mean, yeah, we're so appreciative that CIRA took the chance to help us make this pilot a possibility, because that's how we then are able to get other people to invest in the project. And the thing we didn't get to talk about much, but you will hear about later, is low-income folks are also more exposed to online threats. And so we have found, it was actually a staggering result for us. We're using the CIRA DNS firewall to block some of malware attacks on the Communify network. And so out of those 4,000, almost 4,000 connections, more than 125,000 threats were blocked in a year.
Amazing.
And that's because if you're living on a low income, you're trying to, find low, free sources of online entertainment. Well, that might be something that has malware. Or you're buying cheaper devices that don't have the security protocols built in. The digital divide also relates to people not having the experience because they don't get to practice those digital skills. And so you're more susceptible to those online threats. Yeah. So CIRA coming on with the funding and the support and the partnership, but also that security piece, because there is free Wi-Fi other places. But if you're doing your taxes and you're doing it at a coffee shop, that is not secure. But if people are using it with the Communify network, they can be confident.
That was not on my radar at all.
We were shocked.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And thrilled, but shocked. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you for the opportunity.
And look at CIRA bringing all of us together. I love it so much. We're going to get a chance to chat more about the impact of Net Good and CIRA on communities just like yours. Stay with us on An Hour to Give.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV, Channel 22. I'm Josh Rackless, and when I was a kid, I was a nerdy comic book collector, and that part of me is coming out to tell you that on January 17th and 18th, Ottawa Comic-Con Winter Edition is happening at the EY Centre. Here's my Superman voice. You'll find over 150 artists and vendors, and the opportunity to find unique collectibles, maybe with your, supervision. And this is my Spider-Man. Attendees are encouraged to showcase their best cosplay. I'd be Spider-Man. Plus, everyone can take advantage of the winter event to pick up your, pre-sale discount. This is my Professor X. Pre-sale discount, I predict, you can get on the Ottawa Comic-Con that's happening September 11th to 13th. That's my psychic prediction. Best of all, admission is free and parking is just $10 for the day. Or if you fly there, you don't have to pay for parking. Visit ottawacomiccon.com for full details. To have your community news or event listed on our website, please go to rogerstv.com, click on events, and post your event. That's it.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate? What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888 Taxi Guy or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
Hello, your cell phone. How can I help?
I need somebody, not just anybody. Won't you please, 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 please help me?
Okay, we're learning lots today about CIRA and about net good and about the good that's happening in the community in regards to the internet. And you might take it for granted like I did before learning about all these great programs. We're going to give another perspective today. Emmanuel Lewicki is with us today. Emmanuel, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. And what is your role with our show today? What's your perspective?
So I am a volunteer with Youth Internet Governance Forum Canada, and we are an organization that brings young people into the policy discussion.
Okay, fantastic. Policy is really important, and we probably don't focus on it as much as we should. Is my guess right there?
Completely accurate, and it tends to be, especially at the national level, held really within Ottawa.
Right.
And so we want to bring youth from coast to coast to coast into the capital so that they can have their say.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to chat more about that. You brought a friend with you today, of course. Aaliyah Stewart-Shepherd, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. You've got the greatest title ever. What's your title?
I'm the Director of Knowledge Exchange at Women's Shelters Canada. So we're a national organization that works with domestic violence shelters and shelter associations across the country to end GBV. And relevant to our work today, or to this segment today, we run the Tech Safety Canada project, which tries to get shelter workers the tools and training they need to support survivors who've experienced tech abuse.
Okay, this is very near and dear to my heart, as well as is policy. So let's start with you, Emmanuel. In terms of policy, you're a young guy. Why are you spending your energy and sort of your time ensuring that our internet moving forward is safe and reliable and important moving forward?
Well, digital connectivity, and although young people tend to have access to the internet, they might not be included, and they traditionally haven't been included in the policy discussion. And so the reason why I spend my time there is I'm fortunate to be in Ottawa, to be here, to have these policy discussions. But a lot of people, a lot of my friends from coast to coast to coast, again, don't have this access. And so I get to spend time with them, help bring them into the fold so that they can have a meaningful discussion.
And so what, if you were on Parliament Hill right now, and you could have the ear of all of the MPPs and have the Prime Minister's ear, what would you say to them in terms of the internet in Canada right now, from your perspective?
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful resource that people get to use. The policy discussion tends to be centralized within only a few people. It's a very complicated space. There's very different technical aspects that I'm sure they'll get into later in the future segments. And it's about bringing people so they understand, because especially young people, we're the ones who are going to have to use the internet for hopefully a long time. And so we want to make sure that they have their say on the policy discussion.
Okay. And if you were to say one or two things that are really important to you moving forward, what would they be?
Moving forward would be ensuring that young people have not only the forum, but also have the opportunity to speak to people like yourself about what makes them, what are they passionate about.
Love it so much. And let's talk a little bit about your role, Leah, and how important it is to ensure that potentially, it breaks my heart, but someone's leaving a domestic intimate violence situation, intimate partner violence situation, and they're arriving at a women's shelter, you're wanting to ensure not only that the women arriving are obviously served well by the internet, but the workers are. Talk to me a little bit about that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we know, technology is, and the internet is part of every aspect of our lives now, and what happens offline, follows us online and happens online too, and that includes, unfortunately, abuse and harm and violence. And so many folks who are in an abusive relationship, who are in it or leaving it, also need to think about, the harm they might have been experiencing online or through their phone or their laptop. And so when they are talking with a shelter worker or coming into shelter, we want to make sure that they're equipped to really walk them through some technological safety planning, to really think about, where might you be kind of exposed online, what are you experiencing online or on your devices, and how can we help you stay safe?
And I think that is something probably that isn't on a lot of people's radar as well. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how important it is, my apologies, to be connected with NetGood.
Yeah, it's so important. Our Tech Safety Canada project, we have dozens of resources and trainings, but we don't have ongoing operational funding. And so to have the support of an organization like NetGood really helps us stay up to date with the ever-evolving technology and make sure that shelter workers can have access to the information they need, which allows them to better support survivors.
And I've noticed as well, if you go on, let's say a website for someone leaving a domestic violence situation, there's a button you can push and it takes the whole website away. How important is that?
Yeah, it's super important because one of the things that can happen in an abusive relationship is that the abusive partner might be monitoring someone's activity on their computer or a phone or however they're kind of connecting. And so having the ability to look up information and resources, but also to be able to leave that site quickly or to have information about how to make sure that's not showing up in your search history or things like that is really important to allowing folks to get the information they need and find resources, but in a safe way that's not going to escalate violence or tip someone off that they might be thinking about leaving, and that kind of thing.
And Emmanuel, who else is working with you on these important discussions regarding the internet with the group that you're working with?
So we're about a group, I would say about 20 core members that volunteer on a bi-weekly basis to get this initiative off the ground. And then we have youth from across the country that come together to volunteer and to speak about what they want to see the internet be in the future.
What do you want it to be?
I want it to be a more inclusive place where people can continue to actively participate in it, but one that they can shape for themselves, that it's not shaped for them.
Interesting. And there's just so many, I think about when we first, I remember sitting in my bedroom and the dial-up, I was mentioning a few minutes ago, the dial-up sound was awful. Things have changed a long time since I've been on the internet, and I can't imagine what it's going to be in 20 years. Is that sort of your goal, to shape that next, let's say, 20 years, couple of decades?
Exactly. We're trying to make sure that the people that are in their 20s right now or younger can shape it so that they're in their 40s or 50s, they have an internet that they helped shape and not one that was just given to them because they were too young to be in the policy discussion.
And how important is it, Leah, for you that those resources be there for people facing, obviously, living in a shelter situation, trying to transition to another supportive housing area and having that kind of opportunity? How important is it for you to have those connections and be connected to NetGood to provide all those tools? Because I love when they sort of described it. It's like that web, if you will, that it really is a web that gets that message out to all of the shelter workers as well.
Yeah, it's so important. We know from research we've done that shelter workers, 95% of shelter workers across the country who responded to our research have supported someone who's experienced tech abuse. And so it's an extremely common form of abuse and violence. And so shelter workers need the resources to be able to support folks with that. And this kind of work helps us make that happen.
And had you met before today? Had Emmanuel and
we met for like a brief call before this.
Yeah. So I just think your perspective of listening to Leah, does it shape at all maybe a conversation that you would have going forward with your group, hearing Leah's perspective today?
Definitely. It's important to make sure that all perspectives are included in this internet policy discussion. The whole central tenet is a multi-stakeholder model, making sure that everyone is involved in the discussion, and hearing Leah's perspective is definitely something that we should bring back and discuss more.
And Net Good, I mean, they're just doing so many amazing things. Over the last few weeks, I've learned more and more, and every time I hear something, I think, well, of course that makes sense, but who's doing it? And it always comes back to be Net Good. Talk to me a little bit about the impact that they've had with you, Leah.
Yeah, it's been amazing. With their support, we were able to develop a series of resources specifically for folks in rural, remote, Indigenous, and Northern communities who face really specific challenges around connectivity, not being able to access, devices and support in the same way, challenges around tech literacy and all of those kinds of things. And so having really accessible resources, it has been amazing. And we were really, with the support of NetGood, able to create resources that are pre-recorded. We mailed them out on USB keys. We really tried to make them available to folks who maybe don't have great internet access or can't watch a live training, and so it's been super helpful.
And talk to me a little bit about how you started Emmanuel. How did you even find out that this was an opportunity to volunteer in this way?
Sure. Fortunate that I'm in Ottawa, to be quite frank. Yeah. I knew that Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, so a government agency, was involved in the internet governance space, and I knew that I wanted to be involved in policy, and so I put my hat up and gradually started to volunteer more. But had I not been in Ottawa, I'm not sure I'd be here today.
And how can we encourage people in other communities to get involved?
Sure. I think it's one, arming them with knowledge, and two, giving them the platform. It's not, if we give someone in a different province all the accessible information, but they can't come to Ottawa, because frankly that's where a lot of the discussions are happening, well, then they are tough out of luck and not able to participate in these discussions.
Which is ironic, because we have the internet. Right? It's true. Yeah. The irony's too much for me, but yes. And I think when I think, Leah, about somebody leaving, I've done a lot of interviews over the years with women that have fled, they've started a new life, they've had that hope, but there is this crucial time that that is really important, that they sometimes act very quickly to leave a situation and find themselves in a shelter. And that shelter doesn't mean it's their whole story, it's just a page in the book. And I think it's really important to know that there are these safety opportunities for them and be provided through all of this good work with Net Good. What would you say to someone that's listening right now that is maybe on the verge of that, but is sort of toying with this idea? Their life would be better if they left, but it's hard to get there.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. But I would say to them, you're not alone, and there are folks who can help you through what you're going through. And if someone wants to find a shelter near them, and you don't have to be planning to go to a shelter to talk to a shelter, they can still provide information and support even over the phone. And so you can go to sheltersafe.ca to find a local domestic violence shelter, or techsafety.ca to find information about tech safety and how to keep yourself safe when you leave in that way.
You might have just changed someone's life. Do you feel that sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important work, and we're a step removed from the front line, but we work with those folks, we support them so that they can help change folks' lives, and we really do hear from them the importance of the work, and hopefully, folks listening who might be going through this do feel that there's, a community of folks behind them who want them to do what's best for them and live in safety and dignity.
And I think those resources can be the first step to a brand new life.
Absolutely, that's what we hope.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And Emmanuel, last words to you as we sort of end our segment today regarding the impact of the work that you're doing. If I was to talk to you in 20 years, what do you hope will have been accomplished by then?
I hope that I'll be able to bring more young people behind me, and that I will be not so young of a person, young at heart, but that I will have younger generations that will continue being involved in this space.
I just did the calculation of how old I would be during that interview, and we won't talk about that, Emmanuel. But I do appreciate it. What would you say to CIRA and to Net Good today?
Thank you. Thank you for being not only a sponsor in terms of funding, but also in terms of morale support. Maureen has been in our corner and helping us, and so thank you for not only the funds, but also for the support.
And you can do a quick thank you as well, Leah.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate the support, and they're such a supportive partner, making everything so accessible and available to folks, so we really appreciate it.
Wonderful. We're going to continue our conversation today regarding CIRA and Net Good and all the great work that's being done there. Thanks so much, of course, to Leah and to Emmanuel. When we come back, there's more for you on An Hour to Give.
This is Ben Weiss of the Historical Society of Ottawa. Join us for a new series here on Rogers TV, where we explore Ottawa's fascinating history, the people, places, and events that shape the city we live in today. Join us as we go time traveling exclusively on Rogers TV.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Welcome to Kootenay News and Events on Rogers TV, Channel 22. I'm Ramon DeFranco. Experience The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers in concert live on January 17 at TD Place Arena. This epic cinematic event features Academy Award-winning composer Howard Shore's legendary score performed live by the Philharmonic Orchestra and Choir, perfectly synchronized while the film plays in high definition on the big screen. The show begins at 7 p.m., promising fans a magical evening filled with sweeping music, thrilling battles, and unforgettable Middle-earth adventure. Tickets are on sale now through Ticketmaster or at LordOfTheRingsInConcert.com. To have your Canadian news or events listed on our website, please go to RogersTV.com, click on Events, and post your event. That's it.
Thanks so much for staying with us here on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Of course, today is all about CIRA, talking about Net Good, all of the really incredible work that CIRA has done in the community. And our next guest, John Ferguson and Jeff Buell, joining us. And we're going to hear all about their perspectives on this important topic today. John, what's your role at CIRA?
I'm the Vice President for the cybersecurity and our DNS program. So I've got a business unit, part of the group that's part of the Canadian Shield services we've been talking about today, and just responsible for technical teams and some of our community programs that support the Net Good
That's great.
team.
And you brought your colleague Jeff with you. Jeff, tell me what your role is.
Hi, Sam. I'm the manager of the Internet Performance Test, so that's a free online tool that anyone in Canada can access. Go to performance.cira.ca, run a test, see how their connection does in real time and under real world conditions.
Okay, so am I going home and doing this tonight?
I think you should.
Okay, and what's my benefit? Why am I doing that?
So a couple benefits. One is to see how your connection is performing, to see if you're able to do all those online activities that we do, that we enjoy today. We know that the internet isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, as we've heard already. Another reason is to see if you're getting what you pay for. So you have a contract with your service provider who says that you should be able to receive a certain rate download and a certain rate upload, and the Internet Performance Test can tell you that. The other reason, and the altruistic reason for it, is that you running a test gives a lot of data to this nationwide database that helps us understand areas that have relatively good connectivity and areas, more importantly for us, areas that don't have very good connectivity.
It's so interesting because I live in Ottawa, but I live in the community of Richmond.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, the internet has been challenging.
Yep.
in that community.
Yeah.
And any of the community groups online will tell you, and somebody will go, are you having trouble today? Are you having trouble today? So I think you're opening up this conversation between you and I is opening up a really interesting conversation, because I think a lot of people think, well, I live in Ottawa. Of course it's going to be great.
Right. Yeah, and this is not an Ottawa issue. This is in major urban centers, as it is in suburbs and rural and remote areas. So what you're describing, we can look at our map on the Internet Performance Test and see the same thing over and over again. Usually, urban areas are fairly well served. Of course, there's pockets in urban areas that aren't that well served, and there could be issues with affordability and those situations. But a lot of people might be surprised that you don't have to go that far outside of urban areas to have challenges in terms of connectivity, and I'm also one of those people as well.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'm not alone then. That feels good.
No.
That feels good. John, talk to me a little bit about Canadian Shield, because of course when I think about Canadian Shield, I go back to geography class, but I know this is something much different.
Well, it's a security shield, right? I guess you've heard a little bit from colleagues earlier today. Canadian Shield is really focused in on providing a real low friction security for anyone on the internet. So you can do that through an application on your phone. So while you're doing internet performance tests, also install the Canadian Shield app. And that lets you take this basic security capability everywhere you go. And I kind of liken it to a wonderful day we had this week in Ottawa, all that snow we had. Your cost of travel on the highway, a lot of congestion, a lot of things getting in your way, and the internet often is that, trying to get to that destination on the internet, there's a lot of bad things, a lot of noise that comes at you. Canadian Shield really acts as a filter to get rid of known bad stuff so that it doesn't arrive at your doorstep or on your devices.
And so what are we doing? We're going to download this. Am I downloading it? Now this is a really old lady question, so bear with me. But am I downloading it on my phone and my desktop and my tablet and my laptop?
You can. So there's the simple thing is, and this is why it's powerful for parents, for yourself. If you're at home, go into your router or your cable provider box, put in a couple DNS settings, complete instructions on the CIRA.ca website on how to do that, and that means anything that connects to your website, your internet at home, is then protected, which is great for protecting the kids, protecting the family when they visit. Anything that connects therefore has the protection. But to your point with your phone, more and more of us access the internet exclusively through mobile devices. So one of the things with the internet performance tests we're trying to learn is your internet access better or worse while you're in transit? And we get ready for things like March break and traveling abroad during the cold winter. Public access on internet is not always secure. Shelley was talking a little bit about the coffee shop world. Well, resorts or other places abroad, you install it from the App Store, or the Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store, install it on your device, and then you take that protection with you even when you go outside of Canada.
I want to do this right now. I know we're in the middle of an interview.
Would have been a great segment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Here I'm loading it right now. But I think that's really brilliant. I think today you're also opening up the minds of Canadians to think about ways that we need to protect ourselves. We hear a lot about, bank scams and those kinds of things, but this is really a basic tool that we all have, to our disposal because of CIRA.
Yeah. It's true. I think the 2024 numbers were just over $600 million worth of losses associated with online scams in Canada. That's the number that there'll be a 2025 number soon, and I'll assure you it will have gone up. It never seems to go down, unfortunately. So it's a persistent threat. It's a persistent risk, and so this is something that's free. In many cases, will actually help improve your internet performance, not just help you with protection, but it also provides better privacy. And I think that's one of the key things, a message of why does CIRA get involved in doing this type of thing? There are other services out there which can do this, and if you're not using Shield, go and use those, get some protection. But CIRA provides a Canadian lens on this. So all of the infrastructure, all the services are sovereign. They're run in Canada. We don't share the data on that internet traffic with anyone. So we heard in your last segment about particular scenarios where what you're browsing, where you're going to is a risky piece of information for someone to have. The other side of that is people sell your data. And how do you get those ads in your mailbox? Well, a lot of it comes from being profiled online. And so, yes, we can protect you from the malware and the bad stuff, but we also provide a privacy layer there so that your information isn't being shared with sort of bidders so that they know what to sell you next. So it's a great way of providing some privacy and some security protection at the same time.
Now, you could work a lot of places, Jeff, but we know that CIRA has been recognized for a number of years running as one of the best employers in Canada. Does that make you sort of sit up a bit taller and be proud of the work of CIRA?
Yeah, absolutely. It's meaningful work. I've worked in the not-for-profit sector for most of my career in addressing broadband service gaps, and for the last several years it's been at CIRA, and very rewarding, very dedicated team looking to address security issues and also broadband service gaps, whether the barrier is availability or access.
And we know that one of the really important pieces of any employer-employee relationship is knowing that they're giving back in some way. And that's often places, are looking for talent that also want to feel that connection. Is that important to you, John?
You do your best work when you're passionate about it, right? And I think that that's one of the amazing things about working for CIRA. I've had almost 15 years in the cybersecurity world. You get a lot of bad days in that. You see a lot of things that make your head shake, but when we go home, we know we're doing things like Canadian Shield and IPT, things that are making a difference in the community here and abroad. I don't know how you quantify that. It's something that makes you feel good about the work you're doing, even on the days that are difficult. And that really becomes a unifying call to action at work. And when we go out in the community, we've met so many amazing organizations and people that we've been able to go and work with. And that builds that network broader. It just gives you the ability to really say, hey, there's a real tangible thing that I've helped make a difference in. And you don't get that in every job where you can actually talk to the people and put your hands on the things that you've done well.
Oh, it's beautifully said. And when I think about some of the guests we've had today, Ottawa Community Housing and Women's Shelters Canada, I mean, those I don't think there's any argument that when you're thinking about the most vulnerable people in our community, knowing that CIRA has touched their lives in a positive way must make going to work just that much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about connectivity, one of the great issues is a lot of our work is focused on connecting those that are remaining. And all that work would be kind of useless if those people went online and then were exposed to cybersecurity threats. So to have the combination of using the IPT to identify and help build the business case and the plan to build better networks in those rural and remote areas, and then to have it alongside Canadian Shield is really great and satisfying for us, but also makes a big positive impact in the community as well.
Beautifully said. I'm going to wrap the segment up because I have to go download Canadian Shield now. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, to Jeff and John, and to all of our guests, and to CIRA for letting us share this important message about net good and the good in the community. I know I learned a ton today. I know you did as well. Thanks for joining us on An Hour to Give.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Welcome to Ottawa in the Know. I'm Julie Finley. I'm happy to be here to show you everything from bike trails to kitchen tales and all the things in between that make Ottawa so great.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrival Live smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and